Hi, I'm Allison Janney, and you're here with me on What We're Drinking with Dan Dunn. And that's my sexy voice. Boom.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, April 6, 2025, and this is show number 1039. I hope you enjoyed my little April Fool's joke on the intro. Can you imagine my surprise when I first heard another Allison, even the great and wonderful Allison Janney, use the exact same music I chose all those years ago? I've been holding this one back for about 4 months, hoping to wait for the April Fool's Week to play it. Well, this is our last show before Steve and I jet off for 2 weeks in Japan. Now, don't worry, the A-Team will be setting in to keep the NosillaCast streak alive. When I asked Alistair Jenks, Jill from the Northwoods, and Bart Bouchotts which two of them could help out, all three, quote-unquote, volunteered, but in different ways. Alistair said he wouldn't be able to produce the show, but that he'd be able to provide content. He wrote 7 articles and recorded 7 articles. Now, Steve has also been working his editing fingers to the bone to produce 8 videos from CES for the 2 shows, plus the 3 for me this week. Jill will be producing next week's show on April 13th with all of this great content, and Bart will be producing his show on April 20th. They were both planning on doing recorded reviews of their own on top of all this content, so they've left 4 of Alistair's reviews for me when I get back. This will be a huge help because nearly as soon as we get back, we'll be going down to Lindsay's to steal back our new puppy Kepler, if they'll let us have him back. Well, with that bit of housekeeping out of the way, remember this also means there will be no live show until Sunday, April 27th. Now, you all know that my favorite conference of the year is Macstock, which takes place in Woodstock, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. This is such a great gathering of interesting people. The sessions are always fantastic, and the hallway discussions are even better. It's a very friendly conference where there are no, cliques. Everybody's approachable and fun. And I've heard people say it feels like coming home to go there. Now, I'm bringing all of this up right now because if you register to attend using the coupon code PODFEET50 in all capital letters, you'll get $50 off the conference fee, and I'll get $25 for you signing up through me. The show is July 11 to 13, and I'll guarantee you'll meet other NosillaCast there too. Head on over to max.conferenceandexpo.com today and come join us. And don't forget the coupon code PODFEET50. NosillaCast Brian Hoffman is going to do a 4-part series for us on astrophotography. I'm going to play part 1 for you now, and if I were a better person, I would have given Jill part 2 to play on her show. However, I'm selfish. I'm going to play part 2 at the end of this episode of the NosillaCast. That means you'll also have to wait until I get back for parts 3 and 4. Let me hand over the microphone.
Astrophotography by stealth, from looking up at the night sky to hanging a picture on the wall, which takes your breath away. This is part 1. Hello and welcome. I'm Brian Hoffman. Some of you may remember me from the chaotic interview that Allison and I shared about solar energy a while back. Well, today I'm going to catch you up on my adventures in photography, specifically my journey into astrophotography. I started out getting ready for the total eclipse in 24 by getting a new camera in 23, and I've taken it way past that now. I'm addicted to photography, including staying up at night in the winter to take some amazing astrophotography shots. As a young man, I got to go to a planetarium. I was hooked. Nearly everything you can see in the night sky is in our Milky Way galaxy. Andromeda is the only other galaxy we can see with the naked eye. After that experience, I bought a small telescope and started peering out into space. The red spot on Jupiter? Yep, saw that. The rings of Saturn? Check. Mars and its ice caps? Saw them too. What I couldn't do was stare at anything because the telescope didn't come with a tracker. It was the 70s. As I would be looking at an object, the Earth would predictably turn, requiring me to adjust my telescope time and time again. I got very good at adjusting the telescope's position as I viewed, but I missed out on part of the grandeur. However, I did have a window on the universe, and that was good enough back then. Fast forward a few decades, and I'm getting closer to retirement, and the itch has returned. It all started back in 17, when there was a total eclipse passing over my friend's house in Tennessee. It was an experience shared with family and friends. Truth be told, I've seen several eclipses, both partial and totals, in my lifetime. I've been extremely fortunate to have been able to be in the right place at the right time. This time was different. I wanted to capture a really awesome picture. We had several cameras at the ready. We had a white sheet spread out to see the snakes, and we had a video camera ready to record during the event as well. My son took several really nice pictures and was moved to emotion during the event. That part was awesome. However, I didn't do as well. I was in training for the 777 and didn't have time to learn a new camera. I got a few pictures, but truthfully, I didn't have a good grasp on my friend's camera. So I didn't get a very good picture. It was one of the reasons I tasked myself to do better next time. Turns out the next total eclipse was going to pass right over our farm in 24. I had a few years, but I was determined to be ready to take a wall-hanging worthy picture. In the summer of 23, I asked a friend, Amos from DT&S, about cameras. He's extremely knowledgeable. He was helpful. He pointed me in the right direction, a Canon EOS R8 full-frame camera. My price range was unknown. Amos talked with me about the pluses and minuses of several types of cameras. And at $1,500, the R8 seemed right. Lenses were another thing. Canon RF cameras can take all sizes and price range of lenses. The L series is a professional line of lenses. For another $1,200, I bought the 70 to 200 millimeter L series lens. It was the f4 version. Amos said unless I was shooting sports indoors, the f4 version was a better value for me. It would not be my only lens. I practiced. Balloon Fest in Albuquerque was going to have an annular eclipse pass directly overhead, so my wife and I planned to attend and take pictures of it all. I also knew I would need a solar filter for the eclipse pictures. More research would be on my list of things to do. I went with the Hoya Pro ND 100,000 filter. Buy once, cry once? It wasn't cheap, but around $300, it was one of the best solar filters available and Amos approved. I got my money's worth out of that filter way before the eclipse, taking sunspot pictures. The best part about having a solar filter right now is we're in a solar maximum period, and I have pictures of the sun with over 35 sunspots visible. The R8's a very versatile camera. It was the right pick. At Balloon Fest 24, I got some great pictures of balloons and the eclipse. I used Preview on my Mac to edit them slightly. Turns out it does a very nice job natively on my Mac. Best of all, it's free, but it does have its limits. Amos said I took several really nice pictures. I was happy. I leveled up. I then thought, what else can I take pictures of in the night sky? I pointed my tripod-mounted camera towards the Milky Way, edge on, and I was further hooked. I then needed to edit the pictures a bit to enhance them. After all, I'm no expert. Also, I wanted to take longer exposures. It was time for a simple tracker. Here's one of those inflection points. Do I go big and spend a lot of money once, or do I buy a more modest tracker and see if it was for me? I went modest. $350 later, a big box online store delivered a Skywatcher to my doorstep. I have a lot of time constraints, and I was unsure how often I'd be able to get outside and take night sky shots. So the more modest tracker seemed right. I got to work. Level up complete, but again, editing loomed. My brother-in-law takes a lot of pictures and uses Lightroom. He was kind enough to edit a few of my pictures from time to time. I knew then I needed to be able to edit my own pictures with something more than Preview. What to use? Lightroom is the go-to software for most, but was there something else? I then pointed my camera at Orion. The colors danced and amazed me. There was no turning back now. I was all in. On the next edition, the eclipse is just weeks away. Do I have everything accounted for? Have I forgotten anything? Will the weather cooperate? Will I capture that one shot that takes your breath away? Stay tuned. Also, there's one photo I'm going to call, What the Heck Is It? Add your guesses in the comments. I'll reveal the answer the next time we meet. Hint, it's a real picture and I took it.
Okay, everybody stop listening, open up your web browser and go to the link in the show notes to part 1 so you can see the photo that he's talking about that he did the teaser for. Because by the end of the show, you're going to hear him tell you what that photo is. So run over, go look at it, and then come back. We'll be here. We'll play the rest of the show in the meantime. I saw these crazy looking chairs here from a company called TopJob. And I'm talking to Violet Chen, who's going to tell us all about it because she's the founder of TopJob. Sitting in a chair right now, and I haven't gotten to do the full experience yet, but you're going to tell us about it.
Right. So the design of this chair is called Napa. The design of behind this chair is, first of all, it's elegant and beautiful. Most of us who work from home, a lot of times you might be working in your living room and you don't want a very intrusive black office chair in your living room. So the color of this chair is amber. And the second of all, when you're sitting a long time at home, you actually, we believe ergonomics is about movement and changing positions.
I am all over that. Like, I like to sit with my legs crossed in my chair.
Yes. So with the retractable footrest, it's designed to be very sturdy. So you can try the cross-leg position.
Oh, my goodness. I've been wanting to cross my legs all day. This is fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so good.
And then you move it a bit longer. Now you're in the huddle position.
The huddle?
Yeah, we call it the huddle position. So it's kind of like you're folding yourself, but you're really, the huddle position also helps to stretch your lower back.
Right. I can feel the stress. So I've been standing and walking all day, and this feels fantastic on my back.
Oh, that's
just having my feet up some. I'm always looking for a footrest, but I'm still in a really nice kind of modern-looking chair.
Right.
Now, can I recline here?
Yes, please. I think after a whole long day of hard work at CES, we all deserve to recline a little bit and connect with ourselves.
I'm in heaven here, people. I'm just reclined back, and now I'm not going to work in this position, but I might watch TV or something like that and take the stress off. But I can still sit up, and you've got the armrests. You said are adjustable up and down.
So that's for different heights.
Yeah. Very good. So now you have some other kinds. So what is this chair called again?
It's called Napa. It's called Napa Ergonomic Chair.
Very nice. Oh man, I'm in love with this chair. So I'm gonna step out of it though, because there are some things here that I'm gonna describe them as really colorful mushrooms.
Yeah.
But they're cylindrical things. Why don't you sit in one as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna get in the green one, lime green, and she's in the flaming orange.
Great.
Let me rotate this around so I can do this correctly. All right. Oh, off to the side. So are you going to sit? I want you to sit with me. So we're sitting on this, and it's flexible.
Right.
So we're both sitting here looking like silly people, but that's okay. We're just kind of wiggling our spines, and it feels kind of like a back massage.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah. I think once again, that's our belief in ergonomics is about movement. And this chair encourages micro movements throughout. So you can move to exercise your core, but also you can move to reflect your back. And I think through that movement, fatigue is nowhere to be found. That's
a good description, because I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing an ab workout, but because I'm allowing myself to move, I'm probably doing a little bit of one, and I'm not sitting in that one position. I'm terrible about that. Now, you told me that something fun happens if I pull on this tab.
Yeah, try it. Yeah, it go down, and now it perhaps work on your different type of muscle. Also good for a child.
Yeah, so I just went down quite maybe 6-8 inches, and now I can feel it's just working a different part of my back.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable, but I can keep moving this, and that movement is amazing. I've never seen anything like this.
I'm glad you like it. I think it's so important to get into the habit of moving. We also call it the love handle killer. A lot of us needed that after the new year.
Absolutely. So what is this chair called?
It's called chair boba. So boba is this bouncy thing that you add into your milk tea. It's also Asian. It's sort of like an Asian snack. And we think that this chair is bubbly and bouncy, so we call it boba chair.
That is perfect. Now, where could we find the TopJob? Let's see, it was Napa and the boba chair.
So our website is topjob.co. All the products are available on our website, currently at a special discount at CES. So boba chair is $150. Napa is $350. So we believe fair price is important too.
That looks very good. These are fun. They're colorful, and I feel better. I should have stopped by here sooner. Thank you very much.
Great. You're welcome, Allison. Thank you.
When listener and friend Sandy Foster was going on an extensive trip a year or so ago, she and I got chatting about how to easily charge an Apple Watch while on the go. Slapping an Apple Watch onto a magnetic puck on a table is pretty simple, But if you're on an international flight, for example, plugging the puck into power and keeping the watch stable on the tray table as the cable tries to pull it onto the floor, it's a bit challenging. She found a great solution for her trip, a tiny battery pack with a built-in Apple Watch charging puck. I thought that was a swell solution, but I never bought one for myself. When we were getting ready to go to CES, I saw a deal from one of the big Mac sites for a battery-powered Apple Watch charger, and I thought, man, it's time to pull the trigger. I followed the link, and it looked pretty good, but you know what? It used micro USB for charging. That was a deal killer. I went hunting on Amazon, and I found a battery-based Apple Watch charger that I liked much better. A company called HUOTO, that's HUOTO, sells a 1200 milliamp hour Apple Watch charger for only $19. It charges over USB-C, and it even comes with a USB-C to USB-A cable. This little battery pack is adorable. It's 2 inches square and 5/8 of an inch thick with nice rounded corners and only weighs 1.7 ounces. That's 49 grams. It has a small leather loop on it with an easy-to-open ring that lets you attach it, say, to a purse or maybe a backpack. Now, I'm not big on hooking things on my purse, so I might just remove the ring to save another couple of grams. I bought the purple one with sprinkles on it because why not? You can also buy it in boring black or white, or choose one of the other fun colors like baby blue, dark green, or peach. There's even one that looks like someone spilled a bunch of different colors of paint on it. With 12 colors to choose from, I'm pretty sure there's going to be one you would like. Now, my one concern was whether the watch would stick to the battery well enough when struggling in an airplane seat. I'm happy to report that I can pick up the watch and the battery stays stuck to it. To start charging, there's a very tiny button right next to the USB-C charging port. A single press turns it on, and a glowing ring lights up to show you that it's ready to charge. If your battery's charged to more than 66%, the little ring light will glow green. If it's at 33 to 65% charge, the ring will glow blue. If it's down to 32% or lower, the ring will glow red, but of course it's still got a third of its charge left. I think that's pretty fancy for a little $19 charger. If you want to manually turn it off, you can double-click the button, but it'll also turn itself off automatically after a few minutes if no Apple Watch is charging on it. If it's on, that little ring light will stay on while it's charging. Now, the Amazon page for the HUOTO wireless Apple Watch charger says it'll charge your Apple Watch 1 to 1.5 times. That sounded great, and I wanted to test it to see if it lived up to its promise. It's challenging and time-consuming to do a perfect experiment, or even a good experiment, but I think the results of my imperfect test are still revealing. I have the 42mm Series 10 Apple Watch, which is the smaller one. I drained it down to 13%, and then I put it on the HUOTO charger, which at the time was charged to 100%. In a couple of hours, my watch was fully charged. More importantly, the light only went from green down to blue, so that meant it still had between 33 and 65% of its own charge left. My watch had gained 87% of a charge, but now I found myself wondering how much more charge was left. Rather than spend another day draining my own watch, we decided to use what was left to charge Steve's 46mm Series 10 Apple Watch. That's the bigger one. His was at 48% when he started, and the HUOTO charged it to 80%. At this point, the HUOTO had gone from blue to red, which meant it had somewhere less than 33% left. Now, we suspect that it actually stopped charging not because it was out of battery, but because of the battery-saving option that stops the watch from charging at 80%. I mean, we still had some charge on the HUOTO. It wasn't zero because the light was still on. In any case, the HUOTO added 32% to his watch and 87% to mine for a total of 119%. I know these are two different battery sizes for the two different watches. They started at different places, they ended at different places, so this is definitely an imperfect experiment. But the test gave me the confidence that I will definitely be able to fully recharge my Apple Watch without issue from this tiny $20, sub-$20 wireless battery charger. With our trip to Japan coming up tomorrow, I'm excited to have this much better solution to charging my watch while on the plane during the red-eye flight, and Steve liked it so much, he decided he needed one too, in boring black.
Aurzen promises to have the world's first Trifold ultra-portable projector, and Tiffany Fang is here to tell us about it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, guys. So this is the world's first Trifold projector, the most compact one and the flexible one that you can find on the market.
So this is audio and video, so an audio podcast. So pretend everybody's blind. Describe what we're looking at.
So we're looking at a trifold projector.
So think like a trifold phone, for example.
Exactly. So
It's maybe 3x3 and it's a trifold.
it is 3x3. This is trifold. Just want to close it for a second. It's my palm size. That's how small it is.
So it's just the size of her palm, maybe an inch and a half thick. And it's got a
Only
bunch.
thick.
Oh, an inch,
Thick,
okay.
1 inch thick. So it actually weighs the same as your iPhone, and it only size the half of it.
Okay. So by the way, as she's holding this, there are no wires connected to it, and yet she is projecting
Yeah.
onto a screen right here.
Exactly.
She's projecting from a computer.
Yep. You don't need Wi-Fi to connect your device and your own mobile device. So it's a new technology called point-to-point. So really don't require any Wi-Fi. So when you're camping out, there's no Wi-Fi, you can still use it to mirror casting the content from your phone.
So it's not Bluetooth?
It's not Bluetooth, so it's P2P. Point-to-point, the latest technology. Yeah?
I have not heard of that. This
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
So what about brightness on this?
The brightness here is 100 lumens. However, it works with the DLP chip.
Yeah.
So the picture quality does not get pixelated no matter how far away that you are from the display. And you zoom in, it's just
Pull it
getting-
back for him again so
Yeah.
he gets that on screen.
See, like the pixel is not that obvious.
Right.
Because the DLP technology, right, allows that the consistency of the picture quality. So, but the only difference is the brightness in the room. So here we're at Showstoppers. It's really, really bright, but you can still see the image pretty crystal clear.
Right.
So if you don't
I
need
think if you got off of the Bluetooth setting
Yeah,
there,
I
it's
know.
even better. So we're gonna
how do we get out?
escape out of that.
Okay.
There we go. Now it looks really good.
Yeah.
So she's actually playing real-time video
Yeah.
on this projector on this little screen, and she's holding it in her hand. And this is like a nothing up your sleeves kind of a moment, right?
Definitely. Yeah, we're like super doped about it.
Can
It's
I-
already the first day on Kickstarter.
Can I hold it in my hand?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So there's a USB-C port on the side. I assume that's just to charge it.
Yep. That is the fast charging port by USB-C.
And how long does the battery last?
So the battery lasts up to 90 minutes. So it is a 5,000 mAh battery.
All right. So we might need to plug it into another battery if we want to watch a full-length movie outside.
Maybe, but it supports fast charging. So when you plug it into your power bank, you are able to enjoy more longer than 90 minutes. But like most of the movie, hopefully you already get to see the ending within an hour and a half.
I don't like that long of movies anyway. All right. So this is from Aurzen, Aurzen, and the product is called
Zip.
Zip.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a Z fold from the side. Oh, look at me figuring that out. And I believe this is on Kickstarter now.
Today is the first day that we launched on Kickstarter, and it is working great for us. So I would recommend everybody just get on it and then get the lowest price you can get for one zip.
All right. Very good. We'll check it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, over the years, I've talked about all the different ways you can contribute financially to the show, and there's one listener who has tried them all. Years ago, John Murray was a patron through Patreon. Then a few years back, John explained to me that he decided to use PayPal on a quarterly schedule, so it was just like Patreon, but with bigger lump sums, and he could control it. Then when I came out with the Buy Me a Coffee way to donate using Apple Pay or a credit card, he thought, man, that's even cooler. So he gave it a try. And you know what John did this week? He came back to Patreon and became our newest patron again. You too can be a hero like John by going to podfeet.com/Patreon and showing your support for the work we do here at the Podfeet Podcasts. Did you know that there are 12 built-in macOS applications that are not in your normal applications folder? Some of these are quite arcane and really should be hidden from us so we don't worry our pretty little heads about them. But some are apps that you actually launch without realizing that they don't live in the normal applications folder. All of these applications are hidden in /system/library/core services/applications. If you want to see them, the easiest way to get there is to open Finder and in the Go menu, select Go to Folder and then copy and paste that little string of glop I just read to you and plop it in there. I thought it would be fun to walk through these 12 applications and see if we can find hidden gems or applications we might not ever need. every time you go to the Apple logo and select About This Mac, you're actually launching the first of these hidden applications. Opening About This Mac from the Hidden Applications folder isn't easier than launching it from the Apple logo, but it does tell you that you can launch it using Spotlight instead. I never thought of it as an application until I discovered it in this hidden folder. All right, the next one. If you right-click on a file, or say a selection of files or maybe a folder in Finder, one of the options you'll see is Compress. If selected, this will create a zipped version of the selected item or items. Have you ever wondered what app is performing this function? Or have you wished for more options on how to compress the files? Enter Archive Utility in the Hidden Applications folder. When you launch Archive Utility, pretty much nothing will appear to happen other than the name appearing in the upper left of the menu bar to show you the applications running. But under the File menu, you'll see the option to create a new archive or expand an existing archive. To find out what else Archive Utility can do, open Settings for the app. You can change where expanded files and archives get saved and modify what to do with the archive after you expand it, including leaving it alone, tossing it in the trash, or moving it somewhere else. By default, the archive format is a compressed archive, which creates a .cgzp archive. That's hard to say. Anyway, that's a zipped version of a regular archive in .cpio format. You can also choose a zip archive, Apple archive, or Apple encrypted archive. One oddity I discovered is that if you create a compressed archive using Archive Utility, and then you go to File, Expand Archive, Archive Utility will not recognize the file type .cgpz, even though it literally just created it. It's not a problem, though, because a simple double-click on the compressed archive will cause Archive Utility to expand it. You can also right-click on the .cgpz archive and choose Open with Archive Utility, and it will also expand. I have no idea why it can't do it from the menu. You know, there are third-party tools to create and expand archives, but it's good to know you've already got one built into the macOS system. You probably know that with recent versions of macOS and iOS, you can use your iPhone as a webcam for your Mac. To enable the phone to be discovered as a camera, go into Settings, General, AirPlay and Continuity, and then toggle on Continuity Camera. By the way, I'd ask Claude AI where Apple hid that toggle in System Settings, because Find and Search doesn't work in System Settings. Anyway, that's another story. Once you have Continuity Camera enabled, and you're in a video conference app, such as, say, Zoom or StreamYard, one of the options under Camera Selection will be your iPhone's camera. Additionally now, you'll see the Desk View Camera option for your iPhone. I really call this option Belly View Camera because for me it always looks down and way out and away from the camera, kind of right into my lap. Now, Apple uses computational photography with the ultra-wide lens to create these two different views from one camera. With image processing, it removes distortion to create what looks like a top-down view, even though the camera is viewing your desk, or in my case, your lap, at an angle. In this hidden applications folder we've been talking about, you can find the standalone application called Desk View. When launched from within this folder, or with Spotlight, your continuity camera-enabled iPhone will turn on the camera and give you instructions on how to set up Desk View. It says, move your Mac back to create enough space on your desk, mount your iPhone to your Mac using a compatible mount or stand, bring your screen to an upright position, and then use the plus and minus controls to select the area of your desk to share. The plus and minus controls are right on top of a highlighted area of your desk, showing you where the view will be. If you slide to the right towards plus, the area highlighted gets smaller. That might sound counterintuitive, but plus means you're going to be zooming into that area. If you go towards the left or minus side, the area gets bigger, so it will be zoomed out. Once you set things up per the instructions, there's a button to start Desk View. Because this is a standalone app, you could run Desk View without needing to be on a video conference call. Maybe you wanted to record something for a screencast, and it would be helpful to be standalone like this. If you start the Desk View camera from within your video app, I don't think you get these instructions nor the ability to change the size of the area covered by Desk View. That might make this standalone app worth remembering that it's available to you from Spotlight or remembering that arcane path to the hidden applications folder. Next in the lineup is Directory Utility, and the best description I can give of it is this: Thar be dragons. This is an app that allows you as an administrator of a network to manage Active Directory for a user base. One of the great joys of being retired is that I no longer need to know what this means. If you understand or manage a user base, now you know the app is in this hidden folder, but I suggest the rest of us just run away. If you connect a DVD player to your Mac, the drive will show up on your desktop just like any other external drive. Inside of our secret hideaway of apps, you'll find the DVD player app, which allows you to play DVD movies right from your Mac. Steve and I tested this with his Blu-ray player attached to his Mac, and while DVDs would play with the DVD player, our more modern Blu-ray and Ultra HD discs would not play in the DVD player app. Maybe DVDs are an old technology, but I like knowing that I've still got the tool to play them from my Mac. Now, talk about a narrow use application. The next app is called Expansion Slot Utility. It only applies to Mac Pro computers that have PCIe slots. With this utility, you can display detailed information about the cards, enable or disable the cards, control the power delivery to each expansion slot, check for firmware updates, and even run basic diagnostics on the cards. So, if you have a Mac Pro computer, now you know you have Expansion Slot Utility hidden in our Applications folder. It's possible you've seen the Feedback Assistant app when a brand new version of macOS is installed, or perhaps when Apple decides to let you know about some major new feature. But most of the time, you may never have seen it unless you're a developer. If you'd like to give Apple some feedback, you can always go to feedback.apple.com. But if you launch the Feedback Assistant app hidden in our secret applications folder, you can do a lot more. From the web interface I mentioned, you can initiate feedback, but I don't know any way to look back at past feedback to check the status. However, from the Feedback Assistant app, you get a much nicer interface with a lot more information. It looks like a very light email application with a 3-column view. You'll see smart mailboxes for recent activity, requests, all, and news, and another section for Feedback Assistant with an inbox, draft, and submitted section. I looked back at my submitted items, and I found where in September of 2020, I suggested that hiding the proxy icon by default in Finder windows was a step backwards in usability. One of the things that gets feedback noticed by Apple is if a lot of people have reported the same thing. I can see that recent similar reports says none. So I guess everyone else thinks hiding it is swell or didn't care to file feedback. I can also see that the resolution is still open. It's only been 4 years since they hid the proxy icon, so, I'm still hopeful that they're going to resolve this. More importantly, though, from Feedback Assistant, you can initiate new feedback. Please do not call it a feedback. That just makes me crazy. You get a very pretty interface, highlighted in purple for me and Sandy, that steps you through the product or service you'd like to see improved. Once you choose a technology, it'll open a new window with appropriate questions based on that technology. With macOS, for example, it asks for basic information and a description, and then starts gathering a sysdiagnose file and a system information report from your Mac. This saves you from having to say, I'm on macOS Sequoia 13.4 on a 14-inch MacBook Pro M3 Max with 64 gigabytes of RAM. It's going to get all that information in the sysdiagnose. You can also even add other attachments, such as screenshots, to make sure you're clear in communicating the problem you found. If nothing else blows your dress up from the Hidden Applications folder, I bet Feedback Assistant will come in handy someday. I'm a huge fan of Hazel from Noodlesoft, which watches specified folders and takes action on items within them based on your instructions. For example, I use it to move my podcast files over to my Synology after 2 weeks so that my internal drive stays lean and mean. But did you know that macOS includes an app that does essentially the same thing? It's called Folder Action Setup, and you know where it is. It's hidden along with the rest of the tools we've been talking about. When you launch Folder Action Setup, you'll see 2 columns. On the left, you define the folder on which you want the action taken, and in the right column, you define the script to run the action. You also have a checkbox to enable folder actions, which is unchecked by default, so you can kind of do some experiments and then enable the folder actions. You start by using the plus button to add a folder to be watched. As soon as you choose a folder, you'll immediately be prompted to choose a script to attach. You'll be shown a list of example scripts that have been pre-created with the built-in Script Editor app. By the way, Script Editor can't be found in your normal Applications folder, but it's buried one level deeper in Applications/Utilities. Script Editor is where you write AppleScript. The included Apple scripts are mostly designed to do things to images, such as flipping them horizontally or vertically, duplicating them as a different file format, or rotating the images. But you aren't restricted to this handful of Apple scripts. You can create your own using Script Editor, and if you save them in your home library /script/folder action scripts, they will immediately be available to you in folder action setup. If that directory doesn't exist inside your home library, simply create it and save your Apple scripts to that directory. Once you add your Apple scripts to that directory, when you choose a folder to watch with folder action setup, you'll see your newly created script ready to be attached along with the other example scripts. Now, I'm not a competent Apple script writer, but I asked Claude to create one for me to prepend the date added to any files added to a specific folder. I was very specific in telling it that it would be part of the folder action setup tool, and when I tested it, it worked. I was curious whether I could only use AppleScript to use folder action setup, so I asked Claude, could I use a shell script instead? My little friend Claude helpfully explained that while you can use shell scripts, they have to be wrapped in an AppleScript to make them work with folder action setup. It rewrote the script for me, embedding a shell script wrapped in an AppleScript, and that also worked. While AppleScript is an older technology and no longer well supported since Apple fired Sal Soghoian, it seems to keep on chugging along as a viable automation tool on the Mac. If you like AppleScript and don't want to pay Paul Kim for the much more capable and flexible Hazel app, you've got another option in this odd hidden applications folder. Now, there's one app in the hidden applications folder that is most likely not to be of any use to you at all, and it's called iOS App Installer. Back in the day, you used to be able to plug your iPhone into your Mac and from Finder install apps directly onto the phone. A use case would be reinstalling apps that were no longer available in the App Store, but you had bought them earlier. iOS App Installer was the app that would perform this function. In modern use, the iOS App Installer application doesn't appear to do anything at all if you double-click it, and Finder no longer gives you an app tab when looking at a connected phone. This odd little vestige of the past may be useful to developers, but I'm not even certain of that. Before Apple came out with its own passwords app, we used to have to deal with the arcane Keychain Access app. I'm not an Apple Passwords app user, but it's very pretty and it seems to be better than not using a password manager at all. I don't want to dive too far into it, but my one worry is that people put the keys to the kingdom into it and then only have a 6-digit numeric passcode on their iPhones guarding all of those secrets. So I keep steering my friends and family away from it and to 1Password. The Passwords app has only 4 categories: passkeys, codes, Wi-Fi, and security. Now, it also has a section called All, but it doesn't actually reveal all of the items in passwords. It's simply where login passwords are stored. I personally think that's very odd of a naming convention. Well, that's swell, but in reality, our Macs are saving a lot more secure information for us that simply doesn't show up in Apple Passwords. So the question is, where is that information stored? Turns out, it's still in Keychain Access. But Keychain Access isn't an app in our normal applications folder. It's in the hidden library version of applications. Now, if you launch Keychain Access from the hidden applications folder or via Spotlight, you'll be asked if you really meant the Passwords app instead, and you were just confused or maybe uninformed. Well, the default in the pop-up is to open Passwords, but you can override that and open Keychain Access. You might be wondering, what kind of secure items still live in Keychain Access? You know how you can remotely log into other Macs or network-attached storage devices right from the Finder? You do that by clicking on the Connect As option after navigating to the device on the network and entering your login credentials. After doing so, you can check a box that says, Remember this login. Well, that login gets stored in Keychain Access. Now, what if you want to create a secure note? Can't do that in Apple Passwords, but you can in Keychain Access. There's a tab for secure notes and a pencil icon to suggest creating a new one. If you select the pencil, you will again be nagged to use the Passwords app instead, even though, unless I'm wrong, I don't think it can create secure notes. Now, to be perfectly honest, there's a lot inside Keychain Access I don't understand, but if you poke around in there a bit, you might find some interesting items. I can say with confidence that there's enough more important items in Keychain Access that I'm sure glad it still exists, and I'm glad to know where Apple hid the app when they invented the Passwords app. Now, we've got another Tharby Dragons app up next. It's called Ticket Viewer. Evidently, it allows you to manage Kerberos tickets. I had to look that up. Kerberos is a network authentication protocol that provides secure authentication for client-server applications. Curiously, from the Keychain Access app, one of the menu items is Open Ticket Viewer. I'm probably not going to be poking around in this one. Learning about it, they even mentioned that dreaded phrase, Active Directory. It's got a cool icon, though. All right, we're in the home stretch, folks. Our final app in the Hidden Applications folder is called Wireless Diagnostics. The opening screen tells you that it can detect common problems and monitor your wireless connection for intermittent connectivity failures. I ran it for grins and giggles, and after it told me everything was dandy with my connection, it gave me two options. I could ask it to monitor my wireless connection, or I could generate a report on its findings. Generating a report gave me two subsequent screens asking me to describe my network. I just bypassed those options and I asked for the report. It took a long time, more than about 10 minutes, and eventually plopped a gzip diagnostics file into my home var/temp folder. The file was 544 megabytes worth of text files, all about my network. The good news is I'm not going to explain what the file said because I didn't go through them all and I didn't understand most of them. I did find a fun one that listed all of my Bluetooth devices with their MAC addresses and names, but mostly the files were incomprehensible to me. I remember the Wireless Diagnostics app from more than a decade ago, and I remember trying it when I was having trouble with my Wi-Fi, probably on an airport extreme, and I don't remember ever getting any actionable information out of it. This might be an app that's well past its prime, but I wouldn't feel like I'd done a full job if I hadn't played with it. All right, bottom line is, when I started on this journey, I suspected that nothing in this list of secret hidden apps would be life-changing. But maybe there would be a nugget or two in there that would be of interest. It's still interesting to me that Apple maintains this buried directory in a place you would never think to go looking, but it still lets you run all of these older apps.
Many years ago, I bought a Jackery battery that would actually power my MacBook Pro over AC from a battery pack. I was all the rage at Macstock when I had it there. And since then, we've been so enamored with Jackery. We bought our son-in-law a Jackery battery for going camping and powering, being able to charge up his power tools out in his big old yard and everything. So we're a big fan of the product line. I want to talk about solar panels with Rachel Storms, but I'm going to first let her tell us about about another battery that she has next to her. And this is audio podcast as well as a video. So describe what you're talking about here.
Amazing. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So this is our 5,000 plus. It's a very newly released solar generator. It's on wheels. It's a 5 kilowatt hour system. And the best thing about it is that you can connect it to your home's grid through a smart transfer switch. It also comes with battery extension packs, and you can build out this entire ecosystem to equal 60 kilowatt hours of power. It's
Holy
a lot
cow.
of power. Yeah.
That's almost as much as my Tesla.
Yeah. It's a lot of power and one unit that you can still wheel out and have as a portable,
Yeah, let
device.
me describe this. This thing is about maybe 2.5, 3 feet tall. It's a rolling thing. It probably weighs a lot because it's a
about
big
20. Yeah.
120 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to
Wheels
try to roll it.
Wheels nicely.
There
Yeah.
you go. So you said the smart transfer switch. Is that something that Jackery sells?
Yeah. It's our proprietary smart transfer switch. So you
That
can
would allow you to flip over if you lost power from the grid?
exactly. Yeah. And it's available on the Jackery app as well. So you can control things there. But yeah, it's a really nice, easy system. It's a really good starter for home backup.
Very good. So the 5,000 plus, what does that cost?
The kit costs anything between like 4,000 and maybe if you get all the bells and whistles, with installation, maybe 20,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you
Where you're going.
what do you have to have installed? The connection
Smart
is solar.
transfer switch. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That we recommend that an licensed electrician does that.
Yeah. They cost a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But you could just buy this portable unit too and buy the extension packs and just have, a rolling essential backup device in your home as well.
Right. The picture here shows this happy couple. They've got their Jackery in the middle of the kitchen and they've got the refrigerator. He's got a bottle of wine. She's running a food processor and they're just happy as anything. All their neighbors, they're dying over there. Their meat's dying in the fridge. So, all right, let's move along. So we've got some solar panels here and we were really attracted to these because we have a terracotta roof. So people who live in other parts of the country than California, we have, what are the tiles made out of? we have clay tiles that are the Spanish tiles, you might call them, and that's because they're better for fire safety and everything. But when we had solar panels put on, we had to pay to have those pulled off, and then they tarred the roof and actually put shingles down. Then they put solar panels on top of it, and then they built back up with more terracotta tiles around it. But this, it looks like, could replace all of that with just, these are solar panels.
That's right. We wanted form and function, something that looked gorgeous, but was really, really efficient and amazing for homeowners, and that they get to keep the look of their home, but they got all of the benefits of solar. So these are the U.S.'s first and only curved solar tiles. We're debuting them at CES, so this is our soft launch. They're going to be available in 2025. We're rolling out our pilot program now. It's installed on a couple houses, and we're running all our tests and working together all our tech specs and stuff. But we offer them in 2 colors. It's terracotta and obsidian for now. So they look really great on, Spanish style homes, modern homes. But we really wanted to give people a different option and an alternative that's beautiful and compared to, traditional solar systems.
I like how solar panels look, but a lot of people don't. They're like, I don't want that in the front of my house. I don't want it to look that way, but this is going to look like a terracotta roof.
And HOAs, this is going to be a way to potentially get around HOA requirements and get you, solar. Yeah.
So does this work with traditional inverters from any company, or do you sell the inverters?
We have an inverter. So we have a home power system that's a battery stack with an inverter and a smart hub that can connect to your home and, run all your devices and control everything that you want to power. So we really want people to build this out as part of their Jackery home backup ecosystem. So we'll be releasing more information on that. But these have about like a 25% efficiency, and I believe they pull 170 watts per square meter.
Okay. I'm going to look at Steve to see if there's any questions I should be asking, because he's the one that knows all these kind of numbers. So the product isn't out yet, but you're expecting it in 2025?
Very soon. Yeah.
I got to tell you, having solar panels, having a battery, and this control system like what she's talking about, we didn't buy it from you because it wasn't out yet, but it is really transformative of the way you look at your house. I can be independent of the grid when I need to be. When there's a power outage, I can actually pump energy into the grid. We actually send energy back to the grid during high heat events, for example, when they're going to have to turn on peaker power plants because of everybody needing air conditioning because it's so hot out, and we can actually provide energy back to the grid and we can get paid for it. So it feels really good, and we're saving money already, actually, from what we've done.
Yeah.
So having them be pretty, that's awesome.
It's
this
a
is a great product.
It's a big cherry on top. Yeah.
So you've gone beyond the MacBook Pro battery, and the company is called Jackery, Jackery. Is it Jackery.com?
Exactly, Jackery.com.
Very good. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Astrophotography by stealth. From looking up at the night sky to hanging a picture on the wall, which will take your breath away. In the first episode, I left you with a picture. I called it, What the Heck Is It? Well, it was a picture of Andromeda, which I took learning how to use the zoom on my then new 100 to 500 millimeter lens. What I did was to open the shutter and then slowly adjust the zoom from 500 to 100 millimeters over 30 seconds. The last 10 seconds or so was captured at 100 millimeters. To me, it looks like a jump into hyperspace. However, in reality, the light would have been blue shifted. But hey, it looks cool. Hope you liked it. Hello and welcome back. I'm Brian Hoffman, and this is part 2 of my adventures into astrophotography. If you recall, I had the bug, but I was a noob who wasn't afraid to give it a try. I was getting ready for the eclipse, which is going to pass right over our farm. I was a little nervous. Springtime in Texas means storms. I had my tracker setup confirmed, and the camera was ready. I had multiple batteries just in case, and I was comfortable using my solar filter. The day I had been waiting for 7 years was fast approaching. Even though I bought the L Series 100 to 500 millimeter lens for the event, the sun would only fill the center 25% of my camera sensor. It would have to do. At right around $2,000, it was a big investment, but my brother-in-law assured me it was money well spent. He was right. That lens is one of my go-to lenses if I'm outside. For the eclipse, we invited family and friends out for the event. The cabin was full. There were several tents outside in the yard, and my son and his friends camped by the big pond. On the big day, the weather was 50-50. It was an emotional roller coaster. As an aviator, I know clouds dissipate with the loss of solar heating. I was now betting, as the sun's lights faded with the moon's encroachment, the low clouds would part and we would be treated with totality. I was right. It was a moving experience, one enhanced by conversation with Allison, who reminded me to enjoy the event as much as I could while trying to take that one wall-hanging worthy picture. She was right, and I got several great shots. The interesting thing to me was, as soon as the sunlight returned, to most guests, the event was over. I continued to take pictures as the moon's transit continued, right up until the moon no longer blocked any sunlight. One or two of my best shots came from those pictures. Fast forward a few months, and we went on vacation to Bryce Canyon National Park during the new moon of June to take Milky Way pictures. The night was so dark, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face until your eyes night adapted. There, I was able to sign up for and take an entry-level astrophotography class where I learned how to improve my astrophotography pictures. I leveled up. I also learned I needed a few more items to get the shot I wanted. A fellow photographer pointed me towards two devices, one which made setting up my tracker easier, and the other allowed me to put my camera in any position I wanted while it was on the tracker. After I got back, I ordered both of them for around $50. I installed them and my Milky Way pictures got even better. I leveled up once again. Back at our farm, I used my camera to take picture after picture in hopes of stacking them for a better picture in the future. I got really good at finding great settings for each night. I leveled up again. Andromeda, the Milky Way Edge On, and Orion were my go-to targets this time of the year. One other cool thing happened. A friend of mine used one of my Milky Way shots for the cover of his magazine. I have to admit, seeing one of my pictures on the cover of his magazine was pretty cool, but I could do better. It was time to level up once again. I had reached the limit of my uncooled camera mounted on an entry-level RA tracker. It was time to upgrade to a real telescope designed for taking astrophotography pictures. Time to head off to the web and do more research. This time, I needed to level up my equipment. While 24 was a busy year, I'd leveled up several times, and I was starting to understand the basics. But had I really reached the end of my camera's capabilities? Could I do more? Would I be able to find the right telescope? Stay tuned. I think you're going to like the next edition of my astrophotography adventures. What new capabilities do I learn by stealth?
I am really looking forward to hearing parts 3 and part 4 of his Astrophotography by Stealth series. I love that name. But you're going to have to wait a couple of weeks because, of course, I won't be here and they will be playing when I get back. But that's also my way of saying goodbye, and it's going to wind us up for this week, and I won't see you for a couple of weeks. You won't hear me? You won't hear me for a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, did you know you can email me at allison@podfeet.com anytime you like? If you have a question or suggestion, just send it on over. Remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeet.com/Mastodon. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can do it at podfeet.com/YouTube. If you want to join the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeet.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCast castaways. You can support the show at podfeet.com/Patreon, like John Murray did, or with a one-time donation at podfeet.com/donate, like John Murray did, or through podfeet.com/PayPal, like John Murray did. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you will have to wait until April 27th to head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time to join the friendly, enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. We missed you, Kevin. Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed.